Hello everyone, welcome to your forecast for Saturn in Aquarius. Saturn will actually enter Aquarius very briefly from March 22nd of 2020 to July 1st of 2020. Then it will retrograde back into Capricorn and then move in direct motion and go fully into Aquarius on December 17th, 2020 up until March 6th of 2023. So that's about the duration of this planet's transit. It's about 2.5 to 3 years. Anyway, where you have Aquarius in your chart is where this planet will be transiting. So this brief period from March 22nd till July 1st will give you a little bit of an idea of what to expect somewhere down the line, when this planet moves into wherever you have Aquarius in your chart. Okay, fully in December. It might just give you an idea of where, what part of your life, let's put it that way, is going to be a little bit more prominent than it usually is. Okay, so pay attention, especially from this March 22nd through July 1st period, especially those of you Leos who were born like at the very first 10 days, let's say, of Leo, and the same thing for Aquarians who are born like the first 10 days or so of Aquarius. Okay, you're all in very low degrees, and this planet will actually be in low degrees from March through July 1st. Okay, anyways, for Aries, let's start off with Aries, where Saturn will be transiting in Aquarius in your chart is your 11th house of your friends, the groups that you belong to or organizations, the places where you go to hang out, what you do for fun in a way. It's almost like the 5th house. It's directly across from your 5th house of fun. But it just shows kind of a group or gathering of people that you get together with in order to actually have fun. But it's your most sociable house. It's times, when planets are in Aquarius, even the sun or whatever, or other planets, makes you feel like you really want to get out there and socialize. The 11th house is also the house of dreams, hopes, and wishes, so it's very goal-oriented. You are coming off of having Saturn in your 10th house of career, and you may have had like a bit of an upward climb in your profession, trying to gain either respect, recognition, acknowledgement of some kind, an award even, which may actually be coming this year due to the fact that Jupiter is currently transiting in your 10th house up until December of 2020. Okay, so whatever progress you've made in your career, it wasn't really easy either. Having Saturn here made you kind of really work. You may have had to really prove yourself to a superior or someone whose okay you actually needed in order to advance in some way or other. But now you're more or less, they're considered almost like a colleague now and not a superior to you. You've gained the status that you were trying to accomplish. And when Saturn moves into your 11th house, you may actually be going after a position in some kind of group or organization, a position of authority, or one where you're able to even change the way this group acts, moves, the bylaws, anything. You could be bringing in a whole new set of ways to do something within a group or organization. Okay, it's not going to go over real well. There's always going to be people that are used to the standard. Well, we've done this, this way all these years. Why would we change it now? Probably because it wasn't working all that well, or there's a better way to do something. But any time that you are trying to make changes within a group, even your group of friends, okay, there's going to be someone there that's going to be a little bit up in your face and either trying to block you or tear down your opinions in regards to something in your group of friends, or an organization, wherever it is that you go to hang out even. You may be trying to change that, even having your friends meet somewhere else rather than a place that you used to always go to. You're just trying to make changes here, Okay, so like I said, there's always going to be someone a little bit there that's going to be going, well, I don't know, in a way, kind of undermining you. It could even be a new person coming into your group of friends or a group that you belong to or an organization. It just really puts a damper on all of your ideas. Okay, so you just got to be prepared to deal with this person. It's not that, that it's not going to be a real big deal, but they may just deliberately oppose you just to do it. That's just the kind of personality they are. Okay. As far as dreams, hopes, and wishes go, this, just like you were for a new professional position, you will be striving towards that too. You'll be working towards some kind of goal or something that you've always wanted. And it's a slow, steady progress. Okay, that's keep that in mind when with the planet Saturn. Slow is the key word here. Saturn doesn't really like to retrace its steps, so it's trying to make you learn lessons the first time around. It doesn't want to necessarily have to repeat itself, but it will if you're not listening or if you're not adjusting or making changes in a place where those changes need to be made. And one of those changes could actually be the group of friends that you have hung out with for however long may really start to change, because they may be holding you back in some way, but you're only just now beginning to realize that they're not benefiting you too much. I mean, maybe it's a force of habit. They are all still hanging out together because you went to, I don't know, high school together or something like that. But it looks like some people in your life, your group of friends, or people that you know socially, and even online, okay, even in social media, are falling by the wayside because they really don't serve a purpose anymore. Okay, for Taurus, where Saturn will be is in your 10th house of career. Okay, you have the planet Uranus currently transiting in your sign, in your first house, for many years. Okay, this denotes a lot of very unexpected, sudden things occurring in your life, and even you yourself may be one of those things. There's things about your personality that are coming to the surface that you didn't even know were there. It's a very unusual side of you. Remember, you're ruled by the planet Venus, and at this time, your taste in things that clothing, art, any kind of entertainment, even, it could be like changing and be appearing to be in a way unusual to your friends. They don't understand why you're into all that stuff, okay? Having Saturn in your 10th house, though, may make you go after or pursue a career that is totally out there. If you are currently working somewhere, that's one thing. You may actually just go after a position within the company that you're working for. If you're self-employed, you may be expanding in some way, or if you are retired or don't work at all, the 10th house is still your house of reputation and outer persona. It's the most public house in your chart, so you're really out there on display in a way, and also having Uranus in your first house transiting at the same time. So you really have to watch what you do in public, okay? The planet Uranus will make your behavior seem kind of off the wall at times, and this could happen in a public place. So you really have to be careful what you say publicly about anyone or to anyone or about anything. People may think whatever it is that you said is written in stone. They'll throw that up in your face for years to come. But on the other hand, you could say something so profound that you're almost known for it somewhere down the line. It sticks with you. You say something that makes so much sense and affects so many people that it ups your status in some way. It could actually be immediate, even though Saturn moves very slowly and causes things to happen in a more natural way. But its progress with Saturn is very slow. But again, going back to having the planet Uranus transiting in your sign, in your first house, brings sudden events to happen. There could also be, in your career, the loss of a mentor or a superior or someone, your boss, let's put it that way. They're just suddenly gone for some reason or other. They're either fired, they quit, whatever. They're just not there anymore. And you may suddenly be thrown into their position and have to learn while you're in your new position. You're winging it in a way, and people really are watching you. But your remedies to many problems that may come with this position are so unique and unusual, and they work. And you're really amazing people in your ability to work under this kind of pressure with, with, I don't want to say little knowledge, but not all of the knowledge you need in order to maintain this position. But you're winging it. It's doing like really, really well. Okay. For Gemini, the planet Saturn will be transiting in your 9th house. That's where you have the sign of Aquarius. Sometimes this brings about, the 9th house is many things. A lot of it is your philosophy on life, period. Okay? So that's kind of changing. It could even bring about Saturn works very slowly. Okay, so this isn't going to happen overnight, but your opinions, even in regards to a religion, even the way you were raised, whatever religious beliefs or faith that you were raised in, may be really changing for the better. You may see that what you've been taught all these years wasn't true, or it was just a way to manipulate you and get you to stay in line. Whatever, God's going to get you if you do this or that. And you just always held on to some of those notions, and now you're questioning pretty much everything. And you may actually either take up a completely new religion or not partake in it so much anymore. You may become more of a spiritual person and not necessarily a religious person. Your views on politics even may actually change at this time too. You may change your voting party, or not even bother with it all. It all seems too crazy, too stupid to you. You don't want to get involved in it. You may also take up a class or a subject that you've always wanted to learn. The 9th house is the house of higher learning. So even so much as you may take up another language, and it could even be not just your usual standard verbal language. You may even take up something like sign language, because remember, Gemini is ruled by the planet Mercury. You are the natural ruler of the 3rd house, the big communication house. You're the big communicator. Okay, so as far as a language goes, okay, or it could even be some old language that hasn't even been around or used for years, even Morse code. For whatever reason, you may just be interested in something like this, and somewhere down the line, it's actually going to pay off. Whatever it is that you're learning, that it just seems like an interest, outside interest, that's the way people are viewing it when they learn that you're doing this right now. Somewhere down the line, it's going to actually pay off. You'll be really glad that you knew that subject, because it could impact not just you, but many other people. The fact that you are learning something, some kind of knowledge that may not seem all that important right now, but will be in the future, and not for just you. Okay, this is also the travel house, the big long distance travel house. Okay. Not that your ability to travel may be thwarted in some way, but if you do manage to travel, especially to another country, because the 9th house is the house of foreign travel, foreigners, foreign countries, foreign people, once you get to, let's say, another country, that you like your bubble is burst. The place you've always dreamed about going to turns out to be like a real dud. It's not what it's all cracked up to be. It's not exactly what you expected. Or things just may happen whenever you're traveling in another country. Always make sure you have your passport and your papers and necessary information that you need to move about, to get the hell out of there. Let's put it that way, okay? Because you may be stranded even in another country and lose your ability in a way to move about as freely as you would like to. So you really, really have to pay attention to any kind of travel that you're going to be making. You may also, in a way, become ill, pick up something. And it doesn't even have to be to another country. Long distance travel within your own country just could mean miles, but it's also hours. So wherever you're traveling, just always remember to check on your reservation, make sure it's still there, make sure all of the prices, everything, the agreement's still in place, everything's still the same, because when you get there, you may find that things have changed. Okay, so we'll always pay to check beforehand any kind of traveling that you're doing, especially with, you may be traveling with someone even who becomes like a real pain in the ass, okay? And you may be thinking, why did I even get to bring them with me? You know, I would have done so much better without them. Just something to keep in mind, okay? Also, the ninth house is the house of the law and lawsuits. So this may be a time where you actually file one yourself or have one filed against you. But either way, you have so many things coming to help you. You have to remember, when Saturn moves into Aquarius in December, Jupiter also moves into Aquarius at the same time. So, you know, there's something that could be working itself out. If you are currently involved in any kind of lawsuit, this will bring it, you know, to in focus. Like even though Saturn does move very slowly in its progress, it's really going to move along any kind of lawsuit that you may be involved in and bring it to a close already, because it may have been something that's been dragging out to begin with. Okay, this is for Cancer. You will have Saturn in Aquarius in your 8th house. 8th house is the house of endings and new beginnings. They call it the house of transformation. It's also the house of death, okay, literally or figuratively, okay, in astrology. Usually it's literally, because in order for you to be reborn or, again, transform yourself into something new, an old part of you has to die off. So that's kind of like what's going on here, is in a way you will be shedding your skin, you know, almost in a way starting all over again. You have to keep in mind that before Saturn was here in your 8th house, it was in your 7th house of partnership. And Pluto has been here for many years in your 7th house. So a lot of your interactions with someone else, a partner, a romantic partner, business partner, or just like a person that is very prominent in your life and very important in your life, could just be a friend, but like you rely on this person, and they even rely on you. So this has been going on for a really, really long time. And when Saturn moves into this 8th house, you will be you're more than likely pretty self-sufficient to begin with, but you want to be totally self-sufficient. You want to be gone from this person or this relationship or someone or something that you've had to rely on in a way, because you had to kind of bend to them, you know. It didn't seem like it was like a 50-50 partnership in a way. It seems like you had to check with them all the time before you were allowed to do something. Even money, that may still be going on. 8th house is a money house. It's other people's resources, and one of those resources is money. So that may be the very thing that's bringing about all these changes you want to make. You're trying to change the relationship, okay? You're trying to not be as dependent on them as you have been for the past so many years, but that also works both ways, because there could be someone that is that dependent on you, and that you're trying to break free of them, okay? And having Saturn here will help you to do that. Sometimes it's not a lot of fun because, again, This is the house of other people's resources, all kinds of resources, though. This is the house that rules the creditors, the banks, taxes, insurance, legacies, inheritances of any kind. So you may have a hard time getting a loan, let's put it that way, at this time from a bank. Your credit may not be like really good, or you may get, not a good credit reference, or credit card even that you would like, or you may be asking for an increase in your line of credit. And that also goes with a bank, and they're just maybe not real willing to work with you. However, the best time to do this, keep that in mind, okay, because when Saturn moves into this area fully in December, Jupiter is also moving into Aquarius at the same time. So you're going to have Jupiter and Saturn transiting together in your 8th house. Currently, right now in March, beginning of March, you still have Jupiter and Saturn traveling together in Capricorn in your 7th house, okay? So these two planets are traveling a little bit together for a while, okay? So your ability to actually get some kind of favor or whatever as far as money goes will be much better in December. So if you were trying to get money or credit or pursuing, well, you could actually, pursue any kind of insurance claim. So they take forever to, these people drag their feet deliberately half the time. They don't want to pay you. So you can actually begin something like that, file a claim. Because by the time December rolls around, maybe you'll actually have it. But as far as anything else goes, wait till December to apply for an increase in credit, a loan, or anything like that. But there is a possibility, though, that you could be receiving money from an insurance payout of some kind. It could also be money that is due you from a partner. Maybe you jointly own something with someone and they want to buy you out. Or for some reason or other, we're going to go with, yes, somebody actually in your life could pass away and leave you something. You could inherit something. So could be a home, property, money, just anything, but it's something pretty tangible. It's not like, somebody gave you a dress that they thought you would like, or a suit or something. You know what I mean? It's something fairly big. So you might want to keep that in mind. But as far as good part of your relationship with someone, this brings about stability in your resources that you hold with someone else. You both reach an agreement saying, you know what, we're not going to spend any more money anymore. We're going to try to save. Or we're not going to spend money on that. It's stupid. It's senseless. We keep dishing out money to fund whatever business we have, or whatever, as far as romance goes, whatever you to enjoy doing together, and you're going to start cutting back. So it's just something to think about. Okay. For Leo, Saturn in Aquarius will be in your 7th house. Okay, Aquarius is your opposite sign, so it's directly across from your 1st house of Leo. And usually what this brings is a more realistic outlook or view on relationships. The 7th house is the house of partnerships, business and or romantic, or with a close friend that you help each other in some way. Okay, you have some kind of unspoken agreement or arrangement with them, and you lean on each other, you rely on each other. And that's really what you're trying to solidify here. You're trying to find somebody who's a nice, stable person, instead of, not that you've been attracting any nutty people, but you're really looking for a good, solid relationship. You may even, if it wasn't on your mind in the past, be looking to settle down. You're looking for marriage, possibly somewhere within the next so many years, or a business partner that you can go into business with to form a business that will last for years, for generations even. You're trying to build something, okay? You're not in the mood to even bother with somebody that's just going to kind of take up your time. Nothing frivolous. None of those, oh, so-and-so asked me out, or I'm going to ask so-and-so out because I'm bored, or I just feel like doing something and I need somebody to do it with. You can't even be bothered with that. So something, whatever, is going on there that gives you that outlook in a way, okay? You have to remember that Saturn directly across from your sun or your rising sign creates an aspect called an opposition. It's a 180-degree angle in a chart, and it makes you feel sometimes like your energy is depleted, that people or a partner of some kind is standing in your way. They're blocking you from, they're preventing you, they're holding you back, is what it is. Okay, so you may even get rid of somebody at this time too that is doing that very thing. You know, Saturn was just in your 6th house in Capricorn. Okay, so you have to keep in mind the 6th house is many things. I cover this all the time monthly with you guys because you have stuff going on here all the time. It's the house of the workplace, co-workers, and your health. So these areas were like a pain or a problem. And when Saturn leaves your 6th house and moves into your 7th, those problems kind of, they either disappear or they just go on the back burner. But the 6th house is also the house of service. So service to others. So a lot of times it's some kind of arrangement that you have with somebody. They do stuff for you, you do stuff for them. It's usually a 50-50 thing. But in this case, maybe it wasn't. Maybe you did far more for someone else than they did for you. And you weren't really getting anything out of it. So this may be the time that you end something like that. It's too draining. You know, you're tired of it anyways, but with Saturn directly across from your sun, it may make you feel physically tired, you know, or just discouraged in moving forward in something. But a lot of times it does make you really wake up to the fact that that's what the problem was this person or this thing, and you get rid of it, okay? For Virgo, where you have Saturn transiting in Aquarius will be your 6th house. Okay, the 6th house is the house of your co-workers, the workplace, the building that you work in. It's your work schedule. It's also the house of health. So first we'll get to the workplace area, okay? Because even if you don't work or if you work from home, clients, if you do work from home, clients will be like a real pain, probably. They'll be very demanding. Also in the workplace. However, you people that don't work at all or are retired, you're still going to have something going on here where this house is the house, like let's say some kind of service that you perform for someone else, usually a friend or someone within your own neighborhood even, that you do things for them and they do things for you. But at this time, someone may approach you and ask you, hey, do you think you could start, you know, could you watch my child between these hours, you know, on this day, okay? So you say, yeah, okay, and you do it that one time. Well, somewhere down the line, they're going to keep asking you to do that, and they're going to assume that it's an ongoing thing, that it's a definite arrangement or something like that. This is just an example. I'm not saying that somebody's going to ask you to babysit all the time. I'm just saying someone may ask you to do something and just expect you to do it all the time. Okay, as far as the workplace goes, you may have a coworker that's always been a pain in the ass, really act up, or you may have a new one coming in that just is like a real jerk. Same thing with a boss, you know, or your work schedule could change. Your company could decide to change your work schedule, and it's so, like, ridiculous. Who could work it? You know what I mean? And this is the one thing that I always tell people to keep an eye out for, okay? Going to work could really, you know, the place there could actually literally make you sick, okay? There could be something in the building that you're working in that the air quality, chemicals in the carpet, something. There could be something there. In my case, it was a faulty air conditioning and heating unit that let out low levels of carbon monoxide over an extended period of time, okay, which was very hard to diagnose. But it's just something there will make you physically ill, even if it is something stressful that you notice that brings about heart palpitations or something. It's just something to keep in mind. In fact, when Saturn's in late degrees of one sign and is getting ready to move into another sign, you don't even have to wait for it to fully move into the other sign to see some of these things occurring. Okay, so keep your eye out, because these things could have already been going on. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So check out your health this time. You may take it far more seriously than you ever did, not even because you had any kind of ailment, but because you just want to make sure you don't ever get ill, that you are in near perfect condition. Virgos are like the big vitamin poppers of the world. They always would like exercise or have some kind of routine that they do for physical and internal good health. Okay, for Libra, where you have Saturn and Aquarius in your chart, is your 5th house of romance and creativity and fun and gambling and speculation and children and it's amusements of any kind, games, sports, whatever. So in a way, as far as romance goes, it's not that romance for you dries up or anything. It's just that you are tired of just going out with someone, perhaps dating and a lot or not a ton, not seeing a bunch of people, but just trying to figure out who you would, you're like composing some kind of idea of somebody, the perfect person to have romance with, share romance with. But you may have just like been seeing a lot of different people, and all they were doing was just kind of like taking up your time. In a way, though, having Saturn here, you may have been involved with someone for like a fairly long time, and the only reason you were with them is because, well, they were fun and everything, and you just needed to have someone in your life, someone to do something with. And when Saturn moves into this 5th house, they may appear to be extremely boring to you. You may think like, why am I even doing this? We do the same thing all the time, or I mean, just whatever. You're critiquing possibly someone that you may be romantically involved with at this time. And if you aren't involved with anyone, you may be looking for, or not even looking for, as far, you may not even be interested in romance at all. But if you are, you're looking for somebody that's far more stable than possibly the people that have been in your life recently, somebody perhaps older or very experienced in life. You're just looking for, you would like to have someone that's a lot of fun or whatever. You're not looking for a whirlwind romance, okay? You want something nice and normal and someone you can rely on, okay? As far as creativity goes, if you do anything for fun or as a hobby, you may decide to really take it up as even a form of relaxation or a form of fun. But you could actually expand in some way. You could create something really, really nice at this time. Aquarius is an air sign. It rolls the air waves. So, as far as radio goes, or TV, or film even, any kind of electronics that you pick up at this time, and that you were just, even as far as a drone or something goes, could really blossom into something that you could possibly make money from, somewhere down the line. But your interest in fun, in a way, is actually changing. As far as this is the house of parties, or attending gatherings of parties, or having fun with groups of people, and even your taste in that is changing a little bit. You're not really feeling like going to the same old, let's say, art gallery that you normally would have in the past, because you see like the same people. A lot of times you see the same people at all of these places, because you all like the same thing, so that's why they're there. You know what I mean? And you're there, and sometimes you make new friendships, and sometimes you don't. You know, so you may actually be looking for a new crowd, even. Or a new place to go, some place where you can experience new people, or a new outlook on the arts, okay, as far as fun goes. And speculation, sometimes gambling and speculation are assigned to this house. And, when Saturn's here, it seems to kind of dry up your ability in a way to do those things, but there are times when it doesn't, okay? Like someone else will probably tell you, another astrologer will probably tell you, don't take any risks. But there are times when you need a hard aspect in your chart in order to produce some kind of win, okay? A win of some form of speculation or gambling. And those times will actually be coming up. In fact, Jupiter will be moving into Aquarius in December. So you're going to have Jupiter and Saturn transiting in your 5th house of speculation. And that combination right there just brings about well-planned speculation or gambling. You know, you're not just winging it. You've thought it out. So you might want to start on that now, even if it's a project, a romance, or actual speculation in regards to gambling. What it is that you might want to take a chance on, but don't do it until like starting in December on, okay, into next year. But keep that in mind for now. For Scorpio, where you have Saturn and Aquarius transiting, is your 4th house. Your 4th house is your home life, your family life. It's your early childhood, but it's the actual home or apartment or wherever it is that you live, where it's the solid foundation, which is why it does, in regards to your childhood, brings about whatever kind of foundation you were raised, and it helped you to build your personality from your past. So, a lot of times people don't even think about that too much, but at this time it may help you to focus on your family life or your personal life, because you are picking out the good things, the really good things about your childhood or your past that help you in your present life. You had a solid foundation to fall back on, and those of you who didn't or feel that you didn't, there's still something about your past in there somewhere, that's something good, even if it's you yourself. No matter even how young you were able to do for yourself. You didn't wait for someone else to help you. In fact, you may not have had that luxury even. Some people, some children, even they have a lot of people in their lives, their immediate family even, have raised themselves, but no one has acknowledged that, and in fact, you may be just learning that now. It's coming to the surface, like, you know what, my parents weren't there all that much, or my parents were there way too much, and they stifled me. I wasn't able to do half the things my classmates did, or my friends did, or whatever, and sometimes that's a good thing, or sometimes that's a bad thing, but all of these things might be coming up right now. Also, people from your past, people from your childhood, like zombies, from beyond the grave or something like that. Because a lot of times it's people you don't want to hear from. They belong in your past. Okay, that's why they're there. They played their role in your life. Move on. So, but as far as family goes, it could be, you have someone that you live with, a child or a spouse or something, or even a roommate that brings a little bit of stability to your life. They help you in some way, even though the adjustment at first may not be all that pleasant, because you may actually have someone moving into your home that is either ill or needs to be taken care of. And it could be a parent, okay? Could be taking care of a parent or someone that isn't well. You may actually, in a way, turn out to be that person and have to have someone come in to help you in some way or other. And you kind of resent that, But it's not like a really bad thing, Again, Jupiter will be moving into Aquarius in December. So you're going to have Jupiter and Saturn here in your 4th house. So actually something pretty good will be happening in your personal life and in your home life, your family life. So, keep that in mind. But during this short period of time, from March until July, whatever stands out is where the focus may be from December up until, 2023. So this is supposed to give you a little bit of a preview of what to expect, okay? For Sagittarius, Saturn in Aquarius falls into your 3rd house of your everyday life, and your neighbors and your neighborhood. It's another house of learning. It's the internet. It's the house of writing, and speaking. It's a big communication house. It's naturally ruled by your opposite sign of Gemini. So it's a big, big communication thing. So first of all, as far as your neighbors and your neighborhood goes, you may have somebody move into your neighborhood that's a real pain in the ass, a real obnoxious kind of neighbor that just moves in and thinks they can take over the place. Doesn't matter that all of you and your other neighbors have lived there for how many years, right? You're supposed to defer to them or something or other. So you're going to want to, straighten that out right away, okay? Another thing, too, is a lot of times there's a lot of construction or building going on in your area, and it causes you to have to take detours, long detours, because, it might not be a long detour, it's just that the detour itself exists for a long period of time, longer than what was expected. Like, you could always check and say, how long is this project going to be going on? This road's been dug up for how long now? And they'll say, oh, another month or something. And a lot of times it just extends, okay? Something like that. Or a business could be moving into your area that depletes your property value, or does something. It brings way too much people to your area. And, maybe where you live, it was nice and quiet. And you and your neighbors don't even want that going on there. Okay, could be something like that. So as far as communications go, this is the big house of the mail, email, regular postal mail, anything that's shipped. So you have to be sure that you're getting all your mail during this whole period of time. Okay, mail could be delayed a lot of times, but it could also be going somewhere else in your neighborhood. Okay, it could be going to a neighbor. I'm sure that they would give it to you, but later, whenever they remembered it or whenever they got around to it. Okay, so it's a real good idea. If you have to mail something of great importance that's physical, you have to mail it through regular postal mail, always send it certified, and if it's that important, or priority mail, anything that you can track. Okay, but if it's really, really important, you want to get a return receipt that's signed, and it's really worth it to dish out those extra few bucks, because it's that important. It's just to avert, any kind of problem. Someone being able to say, well, I never got that, and you don't have any proof that they didn't. But they might have. They're just trying to use that to their advantage. Okay, so just be very, very careful with your mail. Also, this is the house of writing and speaking. Okay, as far as writing goes, I mentioned, I think, in your monthly that, you're the big writers, too, of the Zodiac. You come up with a really, really good imaginative story of any kind. And more than likely, there's something you've been working on for years, or just in your mind. A lot of times, a lot of writing happens up here, but it doesn't necessarily have to go on paper just yet, but now is the time that you would be doing that. Put it on paper, start getting everything together. Either it's a movie script, that's technically ready, or it's an actual story, It's something that you're creating for a podcast or some kind of something for a YouTube channel, anything. This is the time to really do all of that stuff. And when Jupiter moves here, Jupiter is moving into Aquarius in December. It's really going to blossom and expand. So you really have to, in a way, Saturn here is making you, be very extremely precise. Everything that you're saying lines up, as far as, you depends on what kind of story you're trying to tell. You got to do a lot of research, but your research is solid, and it makes sense, and people can't come back and say, well, that never happened, or that doesn't make sense. And, 10 to 1, that's not the case, because you do an awful lot of research, as far as your writing goes. As far as your speaking, you have the planet Uranus currently transiting in your 6th house of work. Okay, shows the kind of work that you do. Okay, Taurus is the sign on your 6th house, and Uranus is transiting in Taurus. Taurus rules the throat. Okay, beautiful throat. You probably have a beautiful voice. If it's not a beautiful speaking voice, it's a beautiful singing voice. So you may be about to make money from or earn a living in regards to your voice. Even if you're just going to do voiceovers or something in commercials or cartoon characters or whatever. You're the narrator of something or other. So you really have to keep in mind that your voice, as far as even just saying things, especially on the internet. The 3rd house is the internet, okay? Watch what you say, because people are really going to listen to you, So it is good to have factual information if you're trying to say, spout off even about something or other that you know about. But you're just going to have a voice in there somewhere, okay? But again, I have to say this. Having Saturn here may sometimes bring about bouts of laryngitis, okay, or affect your throat in some way. Sore throat, inability to speak sometimes, or for lots of reasons. You may be saying something and people just aren't listening to you, okay? You're trying to get your word out there. You might have to be very pushy or aggressive in trying to get something out there, especially in your own neighborhood. If you're trying to influence your neighbors or businesses or something that is going on in your neighborhood. Again, the 3rd house, too, is everyday life, and it is the places that you go throughout the course of your day, like the bank, the library, the post office, the gas station, the grocery store. So a lot of pretty profound things could actually occur in your everyday life in these places, even if it's to run into someone or meet someone that becomes like a new friend of some kind, but they're pretty solid in a way. There's something very stable about these people, though they might seem like really boring to you, or like the last person in the world that you would take up with, because they may not have a lot in common with you, but these people may be filled with a lot of knowledge that will benefit you in some way. Okay, for Capricorn, where you have Aquarius and Saturn transiting will be in your 2nd house. Saturn will be leaving your sign, okay, for a little while. You may notice a little bit of an effect of that, maybe a little bit of more lightheartedness coming in, the ability to enjoy actually Jupiter being in your sign up until December. So a little like a feeling of breaking free, in a way, or, just being able to move about a little bit more freely. So, it's not going to be immediate. It's just something that you might notice, okay? However, having Saturn in your 2nd house is your finances, it's your income, and it's how you earn your money. And it's things that you own that are valuable, or even your own personal values. And a lot of times at this time with Saturn here, as far as your personal values go, okay, because remember, Saturn was just in your 1st house. You have Pluto transiting there right now, and Jupiter, okay? So Pluto was the first one to enter this area, changing your personality in a lot of ways. To some people, you may have seemed a little bit more aggressive than you normally were in the past, or just having this feeling of just moving in anywhere and just taking it all over and rearranging it and putting things the way you wanted them to be. Okay? Excuse me. It was a little bit of a power play, or power was the key word when Pluto first entered your sign. You may have been given a lot of power, felt that you had a lot of power over even large groups of people, or just even your immediate family, or the people within your immediate circle. Or you felt powerless, okay, that you were at their beck and call. You were at the mercy of other people's decisions, things like that, okay? Then Saturn moved here and kind of made you really realize this and want to change that, put things back the way they should be. Okay, Jupiter moving here just since December, up until December of this year, is bringing about a lot of opportunities to put into place all of those things that you were trying to change, the way you wanted them to be. Okay, now that Saturn's moving into your second house, this will definitely put that into order. Okay, because you're going to be questioning your self-worth. You know, how do people really treat you? Do they treat you with respect? You know, do they treat you like you really matter in their lives, or do they treat you like you don't matter? You know, having all the planets that you do currently transiting in your first house, you've noticed all this stuff already anyway. You know, you got rid of a lot of people that didn't belong there to begin with. They just weren't treating you very well. And that continues. When Saturn moves into the second house, your self-worth is going to be on your mind. You're really going to notice, and especially like people like family. You know, just because somebody's related to you doesn't really mean that much, you know, as far as caring goes. You know, you can't pick your family, right? You can't help it that you are related to this person. But that doesn't mean that you owe them anything, because they may not have treated you very well. So why take them into consideration when making any kind of plans for your future? You know, they really just don't belong there, so don't feel bad about it. You know, that you may have been made to feel bad by family or relatives, but that kind of is like you going away. You know what I mean? When Saturn moves here, you're not really going to put up with a lot of anything as far as how people treat you. And if they haven't been treating you the way you've wanted all this time, which I find would be amazing, because you've had so many planets in your first house that are changing your personality for the better, okay? Trying to teach people how you want to be treated. This will be like, I don't want to say your last shot at it, but this will be the definite, when Saturn moves into your second house, you'll really put it into effect that if people do not treat you the way you want them to, they'll be gone. You'll just get rid of finally the last person that may be in your life that doesn't belong there. Okay, as far as income goes, a lot of times when this planet's here, it just dries up your income, your ability to earn money. You know, maybe you were expecting a raise of some kind. Well, that's, you know, somewhere down the line, but it's kind of put on the back burner, you know, wherever it is that you work. And if you are self-employed, same thing. Clients kind of dry up, or their orders do, or whatever it is that the kind of work that you do for them slacks off a little bit. If you are, if you don't work, if you're retired, again, whatever, any kind of income is like, I don't want to say halted, but it's stifled in some way. A lot of times people end up on unemployment during this time. Okay, you have to remember that Jupiter moves into Aquarius in December, so both Jupiter and Saturn will be here starting in December for like a year. So that, you know, that'll help. That'll really help. But this preview that you have coming up from March to like July 1st will give you an idea of where some of the problems that you may possibly have with income are coming from. You know, like if you do work and you're at the workplace and you see your employer making kinds of changes or something, or they're doing away with this and that, and so-and-so's obsolete, that's like a red flag. You know, you may want to start looking for something else. that I would not leave my current position if I were you, because that could be the very thing that causes your unemployment, right? So it just, keep an eye out, that's all. Just look. It doesn't hurt to look, right? Okay, as for Aquarius, okay, Saturn will be in your first house. You know, this does put a lot of, I don't want to say halt to, you know, something or other that you were doing. It's not like you were out there running around having tons of fun and you weren't, excuse me, focusing on the important things in life. But it does kind of stop you in your tracks. Saturn is the planet of corrections. But I also want to add that until the planet Uranus was discovered, Saturn was your ruling planet. Ruling planets are assigned to zodiac signs because they complement one another. The characteristics of the planet are more like the zodiac sign. So having Saturn, who is also the ruler of Capricorn, okay, having Saturn in your sign kind of belongs there in a way. It will bring about some really nice things for you, but it's more like you're happening to the world, not the world is happening to you, okay? You will be doing away with a lot of things. Some of these things will just on their own leave you. You know, it could be people, situations, you know, something current that was just limping along, because Saturn, that's what it does. It stops you in your track, makes you make a correction of some kind so you can move on, because there's something there that just isn't working. It is just limping along. It could be a relationship of any kind, but someone close to you could be a kind of like a burden. They could be stifling your personality. No, you're not able to be your true self. You may even feel that way at this time with Saturn being in your first house, but it's noticeable now. Maybe before it wasn't. You were able to just still function with this stuff, you know, happening in your life. But now you're not going to do that. You're not going to be able to go any further until you get rid of someone or something that is preventing you from being your true self, or preventing you from pursuing something or other that that maybe someone, you know, someone's opinion of it is not something even you were expecting, or you may have even expected help from friends or family to help you do something, or whatever it is that occurs in your life at this time. A lot of times, a lot of responsibility is just plopped into your lap, whether or not you asked for it. So you know, you may have to put some things that you were already doing or planning on doing on the back burner, because you have to take care of responsibilities at home or in your personal life. Okay? For Pisces, Saturn in Aquarius occurs in your 12th house. You are the natural ruler of the 12th house. Okay? Having Saturn here, though, in a way, brings about a lot of changes to your subconscious mind. Okay, the 12th house is the subconscious mind. It's the house of dreams, behind the scenes, things, actions, you know, things occurring behind the scenes. But it's also your thought processes, and not that they were all over the place, but Saturn here makes you focus on one or just a few main thoughts, you know, but it may be obsessive even. Okay, so you have to keep that in mind, that Saturn brings about just totally out of the blue fear. You know, you wake up one morning and discover, I don't want to go swimming the next day, even though I love the water, because all of these things might happen to me when I'm in the pool, or I'm in the ocean, the lake, wherever. And you think, where did that come from? You know, I've been swimming since I was a little kid, you know. So it just brings up these really unnecessary fears. You have to keep that in mind. Okay, a lot of things that you are, you know, just out of the blue coming up with. You know, I've mentioned before that the 12th house is known as the house of self-undoing, meaning that you can literally drive yourself crazy. Okay, so that's possibly, you know, something that, you know, you might see. You might think, why am I thinking this? Okay, Your dreams even can be sometimes a little depressing. You know, you wake up and it is one that you remember, a dream that you remember. It could be something that just wasn't like a very happy dream, but you know, you don't take that too seriously. You have currently Neptune in your sign transiting, okay, and that's your ruling planet, and it does really well there. However, Neptune is a planet of deception and illusion, okay. Yeah, kind of have to keep that in mind though too. The 12th house is the behind the scenes house. It's acting behind the scenes a lot of times, and that means you or possibly someone else. So there could be someone actually that pretends to be on your side, pretends to be a friend, and whatever, that is actually acting behind your back, okay? It could be something as minor as they gossip about you, or they talk about you behind your back, or they do things though, possibly behind your back, because they know that you would not approve of whatever it is that they're doing, okay? And this could even go so far as drugs, okay? Someone who does drugs, or you could be the person pulling the wool over everyone's eyes. Okay, you could be the person doing the drugs or doing something that just maybe isn't, I don't want to say illegal, but just isn't something that maybe a certain someone in your life would accept, be considered acceptable behavior. So it's just stuff like that you have to just keep this in mind. Other than that, your thought processes as far as Saturn goes are really precise and lined up. Like I said before, not that they were scattered all over the place, but you have a plan. Anything that you plan is really laid out and detailed, and from beginning to finish. So I hope everyone enjoyed their forecast for Saturn in Aquarius. I may be doing some other planets along the way here, so subscribe to my channel, and you will be notified by email whenever I upload something, okay? Have a nice weekend. Have a nice rest of March, and happy spring. Goodbye.